Tonight, cash splash. Tasmania's Treasurer spends a record $6 billion.
I believe that Tasmania is on the cusp of a golden age.
Also tonight, outrage over Australian soldiers raising a Nazi flag in Afghanistan. Tasmania, one of the hardest hit by the government's university funding freeze. And the biggest event in world sport about to get underway in Russia. Good evening, this is ABC News, I'm Peter G. Tasmania's Treasurer is trumpeting a golden age for the state as he handed down his first budget since the Hodgman government was re-elected in March. It's the first time the budget topped the $6 billion mark, up about $400 million. It includes a record $2.6 billion spend on infrastructure over the next 4 years. And one of the few surprises, the sale of the Treasury building in Hobart, where the budget was created.
The budget I delivered today is framed not just for the next 4 years. It is framed to lay the foundations for our long-term future.
State political reporter Rihanna Whitson has spent the day in the budget lockup. Rihanna, does the budget tick all the boxes?
Well, Pete, it certainly does deliver on a raft of election promises. So there are plenty of winners. But one area that didn't receive the funding hoped for was housing. Alan Coulter reports.
Will Hodgman's Liberals spent big in the lead up to March the 3rd. Now his Treasurer has had to make the money match the promises. Ellen Coulter, ABC News.
The Treasurer is expecting much bigger surpluses than he had originally predicted. But there might be a few nasty surprises ahead.
3 months after polling day, the smiles said it all.
This is a budget that delivers in full and on time.
Now we're joined now by economist Saul Eslake. Now, Saul Eslake, the Treasurer says we're on the cusp of a golden age with surpluses throughout forward estimates. But Saul, are these figures too good to be true?
Well, the budget papers certainly paint a very rosy picture of the Tasmanian economy, but that's not actually doing much for the budget itself. The budget is really built on significantly higher grants and GST revenue from Canberra.
Thanks very much for joining us, Saul. That's all from Parliament House.
Rihanna Whitson from State Parliament, and if you want to know more on the state budget, you can go to ABC Online. While tomorrow morning there'll be an in-depth analysis from Saul Eslake. The Prime Minister's deplored the behaviour of Australian Defence Force personnel who flew a Nazi swastika over an army vehicle in Afghanistan. The photo was taken 11 years ago and shows Australian soldiers seated underneath the hoisted flag. Dan Oakes reports.
The picture was leaked to the ABC in the wake of numerous allegations about the conduct of Australia's special forces during the Afghan war.
Universities are warning offers of places to students could fall and services put at risk because of a 2-year federal funding freeze. The measure was announced before Christmas, but the ABC's now revealed a full breakdown of its effect on each uni. Here's political reporter Dan Conifer.
Inspecting future doctors training in Tasmania's north.
You may well practice up here, that's the idea.
Yeah, hopefully.
Despite being among one of the hardest hit, the University of Tasmania says it can absorb the funding freeze with no impact on students or teaching. The funding freeze will cost the Tasmanian institution almost $180 million over 4 years. The Vice-Chancellor, Rufus Black, says that money was meant to cover an increase in student numbers, which the university isn't expecting.
We are still receiving the same level of funding from the past.
The US President Donald Trump has returned home after the Singapore summit, but his Secretary of State is still in Asia, assuring allies the deal with Kim Jong-un will work. Mike Pompeo has told South Korea he wants nuclear disarmament within 2.5 years, but it's not clear how that would be verified. North Asia's correspondent Jake Sturmer reports from Seoul.
Hailed a hero on North Korean state TV, this is how Kim Jong-un won over the US president with his promise to denuclearise the Korean peninsula.
There'll be a man buried alive in Hobart tonight as part of the Dark Mofo Winter Festival. Fiona Blackwood's where it all will all be happening in Macquarie Street. Fiona, how are things unfolding with the internment?
Well, Peter, in a short period of time, this section of the road will be closed to traffic and dug up. Underneath the road is an air-conditioned shipping container which was buried some weeks ago. At 9 o'clock, performance artist Mike Parr will enter the chamber. The road will be resealed and traffic will resume until Sunday night, when the road will be dug up again, and all going well, Mike Parr will emerge from his chamber.
How can we get to see what's happening above ground tonight, Fiona?
Well, I'll be providing updates to the ABC's news channel, and you can tune in online to our Facebook Live event, which begins at 10 to 9.
Fiona Blackwood reporting on Dark Mofo. Australia's unemployment rate has fallen from 5.6 to 5.4%. But as Alan Kohler reports, the Australian dollar's weaker tonight because of a rate hike in the United States.
Well, the drop in the unemployment rate was the only bit of good news, really. Jobs growth of 12,000 was less than the expected 19,000, and that's finance.
The Soccer World Cup gets underway in Russia tonight, with Australia's preparations going smoothly. But there has been much speculation about what part veteran striker Tim Cahill will play in the team's World Cup campaign. Europe correspondent James Glenday is with the Socceroos camp in the Russian city of Kazan, where Tim Cahill has just met the media.
Well, he's very excited about the prospect of things getting underway. Indeed, the prospect of getting on the pitch at his fourth consecutive World Cup.
Australian women fly fishers are pushing to be part of a national representative squad. Despite England, Scotland and South Africa sending a men's and a women's team to the Commonwealth Fly Fishing Championships in Northern Ireland later this year, Australia is sending 2 teams of men.
For more than 2 decades, Karen Brooks has been fly fishing in Australian waterways. The guide and coach loves the challenge of outwitting the fish. Fiona Breen, ABC News, Hobart.
And for more on that story, watch Landline this Sunday at 12:30. To the weather, and there were showers about the north and west with thunderstorms about King Island today, with more widespread falls and plenty of wind on the way tomorrow. 15 degrees at Bushy Park was the state's top. Burnie and Hobart reached 13, Launceston 11. Yesterday and overnight, the highest rainfall total was 20 millimetres at Strawn, followed by 19 at Strathgordon and Savage River. A dramatic satellite sequence tonight shows the clouds spiralling around a low to the west of Tasmania, with active thunderstorms along the main frontal band. Tomorrow the low will be to the south of the state, directing a westerly flow over Tasmania with embedded troughs. Showers for Adelaide, Melbourne and Canberra tomorrow, which will also be windy in Sydney, with Darwin expecting early fog. For Tasmania, showers and possible hail, clearing from the central east during the morning, possible thunderstorms in the north and west, snow lowering to around 700 metres in the evening. Hobart, a temperature range of 5 to 12, 5 to 13 for Launceston. Burnie and Devonport, 12 the top tomorrow, Strawn 11, St Helens 13 and 14 for Swansea. Sunrise is at 7:39. The coastal waters, north to northwesterly winds 20 to 30 knots, reaching 35 knots about the north and northeast. Swells 4 metres in the west and south, 1 to 2.5 in the north and east. There's a gale warning for northern and eastern coastal waters, a strong wind warning for all remaining coastal waters and a small craft wind alert for the lakes. There's a severe weather warning in place for the north coast and Bass Strait Islands for potentially damaging winds early tomorrow morning. There's a warning to sheep graziers for King Island, the northwest coast, central north, northeast and Midlands, with a road weather alert for the north. And there's a minor flood warning for the North Esk River, with a flood watch for all northern river basins. The weekend outlook: Saturday, showers and possible hail, thunderstorms, mainly about the west, south and central areas, along with the Furneaux Islands, with those showers falling as snow to around 900 metres. And on Sunday, showers about the west coast, south and east, falling as snow to around 1,000 metres, possible hail about the south. It should be mainly fine elsewhere. So stay with us now for 7:30 with Lee Sales. Good night.